But I love more than anything that y'all are influencers and individuals, and you're not influenced, and you're not part of the statistics. You're not part of the followers. I'm just going to do what everybody else is doing because that's what everybody's doing. You're not the fad people like. I love that.
Welcome back to Relax, Relate, Debrief. I'm your older sister, Nicky.
I'm the younger sister, Jackie.
And this is our YouTube channel. Before we go any further, we want you to hit that like button. If this is your first time, I don't care. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. We are going to be having a great show today. We have plenty of videos that's up. So if you want to learn more about us, you can. It's a variety of things that we like to talk about. We're two real life sisters just having real life conversations. And on today, we are doing a special episode. With Mother's Day being here, we thought it be fitting to do a Mother's Day special. Why are you laughing? And you might notice on your screen that there's an extra individual on here, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Some might know her as Jesus' sister.
Yes.
Others might know her as Pastor Sharon Lester. Some may even know her as Sherry, but to us, she's just Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hey.
Welcome to Relax, Relate, Debrief.
Welcome, Mom.
Well,
thank you, Jackie.
So everybody that does not know us, this is our mother, our lovely mother, Miss Sharon, Pastor Sharon, Pastor Sherry. And what better way to celebrate Mother's Day than to have our very own mother with us? And so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started.
So, Mom, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. This is our Mother's Day episode, and we'll say this again at the end, but happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
Everyone has an amazing day. We actually will be out of town on Mother's Day, but nonetheless, we here celebrating.
We love you, Mama.
We love you, and she's still going to get a gift, so that's the most important thing. Yeah. Now, as we get into Mother's Day, Mom, tell us a little bit about your mom, her influence and impact on your life, and also how she impacted you with being a mother yourself.
Wow. First of all, let me say thank you for being on the show, for actually asking me to be here. I do consider it an honor. I think you all have, and Nicky and Jackie have a great show. I'm looking forward to the success of it going far. And again, thank you for being a guest. I also want to say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are out there. And that's whether you're a biological mother, that's whether you have adopted children, that's whether you're a godmother, that's whether all the kids in the neighborhood call you mom, and so on. So my mom was like my best friend. What I really loved about my mother was that my mother had a heart for children. She absolutely loved children. She loved to feed them. She loved to see them eat. She loved to see them laugh. She just really loved children. And it's no wonder that in her profession of taking care of children all of her life, all of the children, even as they grew into adults, really, really loved her. But I have 4 brothers outside of myself. And one of the things that we will tell you about our mother is that she loved deeply. She loved fiercely. And she loved us with all of the compassion that was in us. There was 5 of us, and we saw no favorites. What my mom did for one, she did for all. And if she didn't do for all at the same time, her love for us was never underestimated. So we never felt like we were in competition. We never felt like we had to vie for her attention, or we never felt anything. She just was so full of love. She was a mother. She was a provider. She was a caretaker. She was somebody that came to your rescue. She was somebody that believed in you, and she loved to laugh. So we often, almost everything that we did was funny, except when we was, like they say, one of the year in our day was dead. So, or let's say we was overly active, let me say it that way, politically correct. We were overly active. But if the truth be told, okay.
Y'all was bad.
Extremely active. Might have been a little too active.
Okay.
We were so active, it was almost a sin. But hey, it was children, and children will be children. She impacted me because, like, my mom was not the type of mother, you didn't have to step in for her to help her raise her children. You didn't have to take her children from her. You didn't have to. And there were times when people actually wanted to take my brother or my grandfather, my dad's father wanted to take me and my brother and raise us himself, or others wanted to raise. My mom was not hearing it. She was passionate. And she taught me and impacted me that when I had children, it really was no longer about me. Now, understand, no longer being about me doesn't mean that there were sacrifices that had to be made, but it also meant that what I would do for myself, I would do for my children. I would probably do more for them because they were my children. She taught me a fierce love. She taught me a protection for my children as much as possible. She just taught me to be there, if I could. She was just, I can't say that I was like her, because truthfully, I wasn't one of those overly affectionate, come here, baby, type, mothers and stuff like that. But the one thing that I was, to the best of my ability, was I was a mother. My children were very important to me. Their education was important. Their well-being was important, whether they were dressed or fed, or whether they could depend on me. I literally, and she taught me to raise my children. Other people didn't have to raise my children. Now, we had people in the family, because my mother loved children so much, she would take our children. She would take my kids. Come on here, Jen. But it wasn't just my kids she would take. She would go get my brother's kids and go get my other brother's kids, and she would pile them all up in her little car, and but she taught me that I could raise my kids. I could provide for my kids. I could be there for my kids. That literally being a mother was actually, if you loved your children, it simply meant that you would seek their highest good above your own. And that's what I learned. And to the best of my ability, I'd like to think that that's what I portrayed.
Well, we'll get into that later. That's not too your horn or nothing like that too fast. But October 26, 1981, you became a mother.
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh God, like, if we are just being honest.
Yes, be honest.
And them labor pains hit me. I was like, because before that, I was dressing all cute. I was all coordinated. I had it going on. I mean, I was looking the part. I was just this really cute mother. I was, then the pains hit me. I was like, what the devil is going on here? And I think Stephanie Mills, y'all, I don't know if y'all know her, used to sing, I never knew love like this before. Well, let me tell you something. I was in here talking about I never knew pain like this before. And they like for you to get to 5 centimeters before they give you epidural. I don't care what they gave me after that. I could get no relief those pains were hitting me. I thought I was caught up in the twilight zone. I was like, and it was crazy. I would tell my husband, go tell your parents that I'm in here dying. Tell my mom them I'm dying. I'm
Oh
not gonna make
gosh,
it. I'm not gonna
Mom.
get through it. It was 24 hours of this, y'all. It was 24 hours of this. And I would say, tell them that, oh, I'm just and then I would tell my husband, if I don't make it, make sure you take care of the baby. I mean, that pain was so real. And after a while, that it was coming so fast, those contractions were coming so fast, I was just out of it. But once it was over, you could look at this joyous bundle that you had produced. You could look at this life that you had brought into the world, and you literally just couldn't wait just to be a mother to this child. You just couldn't wait to do your part in helping to raise this child and to be there for this child. The truth of the matter is it was a hard labor, but I have not one regret in this world about the child that I have or the children that I have.
Thank you for being
Well,
honest.
fun fact, if you did not know, my sister and I actually have the same birthday, literally to the day, 3 years apart. So on October 26, 1984, you did it again.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah. I got to go back a little because this is really something. Because
How did you do that?
How did you repeat step one?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Well, we know how we repeated it, but I remember when I found out I was pregnant the second time, and it was never my intention to go through that again. But I had my mom on my back saying, "Oh, you just can't do that. You got to have another child." I was like, "No, I know how to be a friend. I know how to play with the child. I know how to go on trips with the child. Oh, I know." And there was my husband who thought that this was so unfair to have this one child. And meanwhile, all of the thoughts in my head I felt were unfair. So, but I got, went on. And then eventually I found out that I was pregnant the second time. And I think I started crying right away. And it really wasn't honestly tears of joy. It was because I was going to relive the pain that I had been through. So real. So let me tell you something. So I remember the doctor saying to me, "Oh, the nurses like, what are you going to do?" I'm like, "What do you mean I'm going to do what I'm going to do? Yes, I'm going to have the child and all of this." And I remember my husband saying, "You act like we ain't even married. That's not even a point." So I'm just was going. I was going through, and I did. I remember crying. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in trouble." And I remember saying, "God help me. I don't want to die." I was like, oh. But, and when them labor pains hit, I started crying right away. I was just crying. I got to the hospital. I was crying. They said, "Are you in labor?" I said, "No." "Do you having contractions?" "No." They said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I know what's coming." And I just started, crying. And while I was in labor, and they wanted me to get to 5 centimeters and they would give me epidural. And before I got to that, dealing with the pain, they gave me what was considered like a, I want to say a happy juice, or it just made you feel lightheaded and out of it and all of that. And I was in that room saying all kind of stuff. And I was really up to that point no, that was with Nicky, where I was carrying on so bad that they said they were gonna send my husband out the room, and I told him to be quiet before they sent him out. And so then with Jackie, I was just going through and couldn't wait until once I got to the 5 centimeters though, they came in with the epidural. They said, of course,
Epidural. You keep saying
epidural, help me, whatever it was. It was help. I wasn't on the way. It was there. And so they was like, "You have to be still because you don't want to be paralyzed." I said, "Put it in me. You don't have to worry about a move." When them contractions hit me, I didn't blink an eye because I was getting help. After that, to tell you the truth, it took place. And I'm going to say about 6 hours later, Jackie was here. They actually had to tell me that I was ready to deliver, and for me, to go in the delivery room and push. And with Nicky, here's a fun fact. I remember with Nicky, and I remember my husband was in the delivery room with me, and they were telling me to push. And I don't know whether he thought they was telling him to push me, but they was telling me to push. And I think he was hearing push, and he started pushing me, and he almost pushed me off the table. And they told him, "Wait, hold up!" Like, they had to push me back, and I was like, "Get off of me!" So it was like,
Why was
oh,
he pushing you off the table?
Because
because he
trying to
just,
help.
yes, he was trying to help, and he just kept hearing push, and then next thing you know, he started
Wow.
pushing me. But it worked out. I had 2 healthy babies. They were not small babies. I remember Nicky was 9 pounds and Jackie was like 9'8". So that was wow. That was traumatic all by itself. So but they were here. They were here, and I was done. They was here and I was done, you know.
But were you excited when they was like the same day? Like, oh my God, I had both my kids on the same day.
Um,
The
I
pain
don't.
overtook you.
Yeah, I don't really, to tell you the truth, it was really a surprise because we were not expecting Jackie to even be born in October. Actually, the doctor really had misdiagnosed my due date, miscalculated my due date that bad, because I thought that Jackie was supposed to be coming in September. And the latter part of September, and she didn't come until October the
A whole another month
26th.
later.
Yeah, so they had really miscalculated my date and stuff. And then it was an amazing thing because who plans for that? Who even, the only way actually it looks like something like that could happen is if it was a C-section, and it wasn't. It was natural birth. And yeah, that till today, it is pretty amazing. And I still hear when I tell people your birthdays that you're 3 years and 3 hours apart, and and they are amazed. They're like, really? Some people have birthdays on the same day. Siblings have birthdays on the same. Well, I want to say not the same day, but in the same month.
Mhm.
But they don't often have children the same day in the same month. So it's a pretty amazing fun fact, you know. It's great for,
How was your husband? So coming in, having kids, you definitely want to, ideally, we know everyone doesn't have the circumstance of having a child with a partner or however that pans out. But you were married, steady, you had 2 kids, and then how was that with your husband?
Well, in the beginning, it was like in the beginning, it was like I had the kids by myself, immaculate conception. It was in the beginning, like, he knew that you all were there. I used to pay him to babysit y'all
Oh
because,
God.
yeah, and then, and he would take the money, and stuff, because your father was just laid back, and at the time, and he just I guess was in his own world or something. And then one day, in all honesty, I brought him out of his world, and I had told him I didn't have these kids by myself, and I'm not going to raise them by myself, and I'm not giving you another dime to help me raise them. Well, I probably should have kept on paying it, because then he took over. He just took over. He took over to the point that I didn't even feel like I was a good mother. I mean, this man,
God.
he just took over. I mean, he took over everything about y'all. It was like, just like, I would take you to the doctors and, go to the parent teachers, whatever and stuff, unless he was needed. But when it came to seeing about you, your clothes, and your scarf and your hat, and all that looked like the little details and stuff, he was on it. He was just on it. And then he was always questioning me about my parenting. I was like, is he for real? Oh my God. He was just really the epitome of what a father is when they love their children and have their best interest at heart. He really did. He took over, and you all are witnesses of the fact that he just completely, he put you in his own world along with me, and it was like, my four and no more. And it was just, and that's, how it was. There really wasn't anything, if he could do within his power, that he wouldn't do for you. He was just that mindful of you. He was always mindful of you.
To this day.
Till this day, he was mindful of you too, so much to the point where I remember there were times when we would be at church and y'all had cars and something would go wrong with your cars, and you would think, and he and I would leave, we were going. And you would think that y'all would look at, there were other, there was the other gentlemen at the church, other brothers at the church. And, if your tire was flat or something was wrong with the car, it needs to be checked out. Maybe you could just ask them to look at it. We'd be in the car and he'd be like, okay, all right, I'll be there. Where we going? We're going back to the church. Nigga got a flat tire. Jackie say something ain't right with the car. Well, why are we going back to the church? Ain't no man at the church still. He just was a father, and it just didn't dawn on him that anybody else was supposed to be doing what he felt was a father's job.
Okay. All right. That's good. So you picked a good partner to have kids with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hearing.
Coming, to the children. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you have your mother who impacted you. You have your experiences of having both of your children on the same day. You have your husband who you are raising children with. And at this point, you have 2 kids. So what advice would you give a new mother or someone who even desires to be a mother, how to handle or balance more than one child?
You, as a parent, you honestly are not as weighted with a second child. You're honestly not as concerned with a second child. When you have your first child, you have no experience. So you are learning, and you are going on the experiences that you're learning. You're asking, your in-laws for help. You're asking people, if something goes wrong with the child, if they've got a stomach ache, if they don't feel good, or if there's something that needs to be done, maybe even something about school or whatever it is. As a parent, you're learning. You're learning that, every sickness is not unto death, because you treat that first child like, the moment that something goes wrong, oh no, I got to go to the doctor. I got to go to the doctor now. We got to call a doctor. You got to come into the office. Something wrong. We got to get this straightened out. So you go through a lot of stressful moments in your life, and that's because you're learning. You're learning when there is a real emergency. You're learning when there's not an emergency. You're learning when the child is just going through the different stages of their life, and you have to go through those stages with them, being there for them, but you're understanding their growth pains, and you're growing right along with them. And you didn't have, a blueprint prior to that, because you didn't have children. So every day was a learning experience, but it taught you a lot. It really, it just put some nuggets in your belt. So by the time that the second child came along, as long as it was a normal child without special needs, that would differentiate between the other child, and where there was a different quality of life, because the child had different needs, but you had another normal, what we consider another normal active child, then it's just a lot of stuff you didn't worry about. You recognize certain signs. You recognize their individuality. And what you did was treat each child on its separate form, but, making them equal, loving them the same. But it wasn't as hard, because now you had experience under your belt, and you used that experience to bring that other child along. You that the first child, if they jumped off the chair or something, you rushing over, are you all right, did you hurt yourself, why'd you do that? Don't The other child, the second child, comes along, jumps off the chair, you didn't even blink, you ain't turned the channel, you ain't got up to see. Jack, you remember that time TV fell on you and it was like, oh well. So I mean, it was you really learned, of course your father came in and got it off, but
Thank God.
but I'm saying, but you
Oh,
learn,
yeah.
you have experience under your belt enough to bring that child along, and then they just become part of the pack.
Yes.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
I want to jump in here. So oftentimes me and Jackie were sick because we had asthma. And then as we grew up, kind of grew out of that. And then we've kind of gone through some things such as her having to get a surgery, me getting hit by a car and then needing a surgery. And I'm a pretty sensitive person. So I can say that you displayed a lot of strength in those times that we were sick. And a lot of times where I think I would have folded, I would have been bawling in the corner crying because my child was going through. You never exemplified that. You've always been a pillar of strength no matter what we faced. Can you explain where your strength came from us being babies even to adults now, of anytime something happens that seemingly is traumatic, how you're able to stand in it?
And
Well,
just to be very clear, traumatic being Nicky being hit by a car, coming down, smashing the windshield. Like, this ain't no little, like,
right.
actually going up in the air, being hit by a car. Me having a full-blown asthma attack and my oxygen being at like so low that they thought they were going to call, but
Intubated.
protective services on you, so they had to get me in because I had like no oxygen going on and having really bad asthma. And we've had surgeries. Like, one time I went into the hospital, thought it was for one thing, had to end up having emergency surgery. And then just 2 years ago, Nikki went into the hospital, thought she I didn't realize my thing was gonna do that. Thought that she was having one experience and ended up on a ventilator for 11 days. So that's what she means by these were not like small colds or cuts and bruises, when she's asking where the strength came from. Like, when you see your child in a truly traumatic situation.
Right.
I actually have to say that two things are taking place here. One of them is God gives us all built-in abilities. He gives us abilities. He gives us a certain strength. And you don't really know that you have it until such a time as you need it. But I honestly can say, on top of that, what caused that to go into action for me is my knowledge and relationship with the Lord. Because God is just so amazing to me, because the relationship is so real for me, and because I so depend on him, and because I've been serving him for so long now, and he is my literal life force. Everything is about what he is able to do and his ability to strengthen me, to help me, and to carry me. So even though there was given by God a built-in strength, the ability to be able to display that was the Spirit of God in me taking over at the time and causing me to exercise faith. That if I had to pull God into the situation, if you were going to be, if you were going to be all right, I had to pull God into it, because as you stated Jackie, earlier, these were very serious situations. These were life-threatening. These were on the verge of death. Some of these were should have died, shouldn't have made it. But when you hear the testimonies of how God set up for victory to be the end. But what he needed was somebody that would be able to maintain that ability to be able to trust him without wavering. So that you would have faith to say, my God will. And I think that situations differ because he knew that his plan for you all was to survive.
Right.
But he needed, in order for that, because he works in society with them that are with him, that those that, you know, that belong to him, because he works in society along with man. Nothing happens except in answer to prayer. So God has already ordained that you should survive. So what he needed was a gap stander. And so he had to give somebody strength enough to be able to pull on him, to pull a move out of him, to create a miracle. And that's what I believe that God had me there for and did with me. He put a strength in because his own will. See, somebody said this, and I don't know who, so it's anonymous for me, that the devil had a plot, but God had a plan.
Oh, I
And
said that.
so,
I said that.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay.
Don't
Yeah,
make no
yeah.
sense.
I read it somewhere else too, but okay. I think maybe you told me. Okay. Yeah, they wrote it down and put it out there. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So that's what it was. The strength was not my own strength, because I, you know, a parent that sees such a traumatic experience with their child whom they love more than their own life, then to see that is a destroying moment. And so you could crumble, you know, like your father did when Nicky got hit by that car. So anyway, what happened was, so yeah, so but somebody's
under the bus, like
yeah, all the
Poor
way.
daddy.
So but somebody, God needs a gap stander, somebody that has the strength to hold it together, hold the family together, to put out the words of faith, to speak not what they saw, but what they knew God was capable of doing. And for me, you know, and sometimes God gives that strength to people that do not yet know him. So there are also people in the world that have not come into the knowledge of him yet. So they're operating off of what we call the prevenient grace of God. That is the help and the mercy of God prior to our coming into the knowledge of him through salvation. But to those that have come into the knowledge and know who God is, that strength that was put there from birth gets activated, and you just begin to pull on God. And for me, the truth is, I felt like I had to display that faith. I had to pull on God. I felt like if I did not believe God, that the results would be different. I even saw the setup of how God's plan literally spared your lives or kept you or covered you, or however, you know, you want to put it. I watched God move, you know, but I had to believe and be the gap standard that would call on him. Now, God works in different ways, because there's also parents who God chooses to take the child, but the parent still, an inner strength. But that's God. That's God, because it's not easy to see your child hurting, going through, traumatized, you know, victimized, if you know, whatever it is. It is not an easy thing for a parent to sit back and just wonder if your child is going to make it. But the confidence in God, that because of who he is, I could have confidence in him that his will was that you survive. So I just stood in the gap and prayed, And sometimes when you have people that exhibit that kind of strength outwardly, what people don't see are silent tears when they're by themselves. Because then you don't have to, you believe God. But sometimes just the tears of gratefulness will cause you to break down, as if you're breaking down because it was going the other way. And then sometimes you're just hurt by the whole situation. And those are tears, too. And I believe that there are moments that, the Lord just allows you to express with him. But the inner strength comes for me. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, during the times y'all were severely tried by life, came from God and him alone.
Yes. Great. Excellent answer, Mom. Okay.
I've been doing this. Do you have a podcast or something?
Oh, yeah. So we are going to move into what we're going to give you a couple of questions, rapid questions that are going to test your knowledge of us as well as jog your memory.
Oh, God, help me, Jesus.
Let's see what she remembers. This is called, put something in right here. Let's see what Mama remembers. You have never called her Mama a day in her life, so I don't know why I said
Mom. You're going to see.
And don't be upset over what Mama don't remember. Runs to my head and not my heart. Let's just get that out there right now.
Lord. We're going to see. We know.
So you're going to remember some of it.
You're going to remember some of it because you know us. All right. Your response is going to be either me, Nikki, or Jackie. Okay. You only got 2 choices.
Real quick, did you ever want a boy, or did you ever think, let me try to have a boy? Or were you just content with 2 girls?
You know what? 2 children, like everybody thinks that what they call a boy or a girl is a rich man's family. So everybody thinks that it's nice. I think it would have been wonderful to have what we call a rich man's family. Because I think every man wants a boy or wants a son or wants somebody to, leave a legacy of their name to carry on the family and stuff. And so, and every woman wants a girl, somebody they can dress up and, talk to and, eventually as time goes on, befriend, still being the mom, first, but befriend, so everybody. So, but for me, honestly, I would not have minded that a rich man's family at all, but I took whomever the Lord gave me. And to tell you the truth, I was pleased with whatever, or I was just pleased with having a normal, healthy baby.
Okay. All right.
Your memory with your healthy babies.
Let's jog your memory. First question. While trying to do gymnastics, mind you, neither one of us were in gymnastics, which one of us fell off the bunk bed while trying to balance ourselves, but got hurt while the other one looked on?
The person that got hurt was definitely Jackie, and the person who looked on was Nicky. Really? Oh, okay.
Nikki was jumping off that. No, Nikki was doing them gymnastic moves off that bunk bed.
I was balancing myself on the side of the bunk bed.
She's never balanced herself on a beam before, and here she want to balance herself, and she flipped off.
Was I home?
Yeah. And she scraped herself up and then got mad at me talking about, I told you to look stupid.
But I remember
You're right. I remember that. You're right. Right.
I had to put alcohol on my head, but thank God there's no scars.
I remember that. And I remember I remember Nikki getting mad. It was really your fault.
Not mad at me. I was like, don't do that.
I know.
My IQ.
All right. Next question. Which one of us got put into timeout for throwing a ball directly at the teacher's head? Directly at the teacher and hit her in the head.
Oh my God, I know that was Jackie. Let me tell you something.
Mom, what do you mean? Why was you?
No, that was Jackie. That was Jackie. Because Nikki's teachers would bring me into the parent-teachers conference and say, Nikki's a little too quiet. You don't know she's in the room. Could you get her to participate? We don't know she, she's almost non-existent in the class. Can you kind of help us with that? So that was always, Nikki's, MO. Them teachers would bring me, we need to talk to you about Jackie. I'd be like, oh my God. Oh my God, really? I knew somebody threw something that was Jay.
And I only hit her out. Now, what happened was, in all fairness, and I probably explained this to you, she did not like me, and she was refereeing that game as such. And like, she's making all these calls that are personal attacks on me. So then I said, well, this is the game we're playing. And now they want to kick me out the game. She started it.
But here's the bottom line. You have parents.
Mm-hmm.
You have parents.
Y'all wasn't there right then and there. This was going on immediately.
School was going to end. It was going to end that day. It was going to end that day. And you have parents.
And I didn't always want to bother y'all.
And let's note that was in Latchkey. So school had been done for the day. Although you've done your fair share of stuff in school. But then you were also in Latchkey as well. Shall we talk about the snacks?
Talk about the what?
The snacks.
No. Why would you bring that up? Well, I have been delivered. I don't steal.
Okay. All right. All right.
But I just want to explain, I had to hit her in the head for that reason.
It's not
I wasn't just doing it just to do it. She incited a war.
Oh my gosh.
How old was I? Maybe had to be like 8 or 9.
My point exactly.
Right.
She incited a war. So here's an 8-year-old child fighting with a grown woman. Okay. That's my point. Exactly.
No, that lady wasn't fighting with her. She put her on timeout.
Yeah, she did. She kicked me out that game and put me on timeout.
She said, we're not doing this. We not.
And she said, I think she told mommy.
She did. I'm sure you got, in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Because one thing mom didn't do is play.
Mm-mm-mm.
Right. Next question. So they could get a break in the middle of the school day. Which one of us pretended they had deep feelings they needed to discuss
Jackie.
Outside of the classroom?
Jackie. Nobody but Jackie.
Now, Mom, go ahead and explain why. Go ahead, Mom.
I'm not. You want me to explain why that you wanted to go in somebody else's classroom and play instead of be in class and either, participate or do what you was doing because you saw somebody else going to the feelings room?
Right.
Yes, and you wanted to know why they were going to the feelings room, and you knew good and well that you didn't have the same feelings or the same type of trauma going on in your life or the same type of problems going on in your life. You didn't even hear that they had a problem. All you heard was you go in there and you color, you play, you get... And then all of a sudden your emotions were out of whack and you wanted to go to the feelings room.
That's what I wanted.
You didn't even stop there.
Mom, what you mean I didn't stop there?
You drug your sister right on in.
Right. Because let's think about this. Why is it fair that he gets to go in the middle of the day and color and make pictures?
Because he had real life issues going on that they were trying to address.
He was getting a break. And I felt like I could get one too. And then because they was catching on to me, I said, okay, let me get my sister in here. You gotta call her in here too so she can help. Then you came in there, you used the stencils with me. And
no, I was like, what is this? Y'all calling me out of my
you did
for what? And then
you
they were like
stencils though, and then you was like, this is ridiculous. We're not supposed to be.
And I told her, I said, we don't have any issues at home. I don't know why she up here lying.
And I was like, girl, get your break.
Yeah,
not me trying to bring the relief. This relate the brief. I was trying to bring relief.
I can't.
From what? Okay, here's the question. From what? You were trying to
all day in the classroom. That's a lie.
Okay. This was
really and they just teach it. I wore out. I was exhausted. I need a coloring book.
Now, and what kind of we understand what you're saying, Jackie. So just, without going into anybody specific, give us an overall picture of the type of traumas that they actually were escorted to this room to get a break from, that they were trying to give their minds and their little hearts and their little
Oh,
feelings
like the
break
kids
from.
that were going?
Yes, the
That
kids
actually
that were
needed it?
going.
Oh, the kids that were going, like their parents were divorcing, or there may have been like something going on with, I believe the young guy that was going was in an abusive household, and they were trying to work through that. And hold on, because as I was brought up, I prayed for that little boy too. I stretched my hand, and then
Right.
I went.
And now
the
tell us again why you felt the need again to go in that classroom.
it didn't last.
Okay.
They
Right.
called one. I think it lasted maybe a month before they was like, "Girl,
There's nothing wrong with you."
yeah." She tied me right out. She stopped coming to get me, and I said, where was you at? You supposed to come get me?" And she said, "No, we're not playing this game with you." So she stopped the game. That's fine. That's fine. I got my feelings together. Just me and the.
And I said, "Stop coming to get me, because I'm in class trying to learn, and y'all playing with this girl."
Go right upstairs to the 4th grade level. I forget. I used to remember your teacher's name. I just forgot. Dennis. Was it Dennis? Miss Dennis?
Oh, I did have a Miss Dennis. Yeah.
I knew I go to Miss Dennis class.
Yep. Heck, I didn't. That jogged me.
Relax, relief, the debate or whatever.
Debrief. You're not even saying the name right. Relax, relate, debrief.
Right, debrief. Her debriefing was, "I'm tired of class. I just want to go and tell them."
Oh my gosh. Moving along. Our next question. Which one of us thought we could be a track star until we started running in high school and almost passed out?
Oh, that was you. Oh my God, that was you.
Mom, you could give it a second for you.
You were on that track, you had to gave out of your. I was like, "Did you have your Cheerios this morning?" It just was not. It wasn't working.
Ma, I'll have you know that I was a very good long distance runner on the practices.
Yes, it did. Yeah, but it caught up with you.
No, Mom.
We went to the track meet, and as we were walking up, Nicky had stopped running and just started walking. And my mom turned to me and said, "Is that Nicky?" Sure.
And what y'all don't know is, on my very first track meet, that coach put me in the 4x8, and I was the anchor. Do you know how many times I had to run around the track? The 4x8 was 2 times around the track without stopping. I've never ran around nobody's track without stopping.
Were you attending practices?
And I did very well in the practice. The practice was running through the neighborhoods. Like, that wasn't, we weren't on a time. I wasn't on a time thing. Like, I couldn't breathe. I had asthma still. So I was like, I don't even know what made me proceed to do track.
Right.
So.
Keyword asthma. And you went.
All right, Mom. So next question, because you're not going to keep it. Next question.
I got asthma. Let me go run. Okay.
Anywho. Okay. After watching the movie Witches, which one of us went to bed that night and saw a witch melting on their pillow? And it was not allegedly. They saw this witch melting on their pillow.
Well, first of all, we know it wasn't Jackie, because Jackie was watching Freddy Krueger. She was watching, Jason. I mean, whoever it was, you could put it on. She was sitting there, go get the movie. Go get the movie. Only person in that house, we couldn't even watch Beauty and the Beast with you. So that was you. Mom, the voice. So,
wow, Mom with the mocking.
It's like, what's wrong with the voice? I can't take it. The man got a nice voice, got a sexy voice. No. You know what? I'm hooked up on how he looked. Oh, Mom. I'm sorry, that was you with the witches. But we really did. I think we asked you also, did you want to see that?
Yes.
Oh, I can do it. Oh, I can. Oh, I
Because
could
I
cook that.
had watched it during the day at the babysitter's house, and I suggested it, and I said, I seen this movie, it was good, we should watch it. The problem was you guys watched it at night.
What?
You watched
Here's
it at night, you stirred it up something, and that witch was on my pillow by the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Melted.
here's the thing.
And it wasn't allegedly.
Here's the thing. I remember them asking you, "Are you sure?"
Mhm.
You were told, like, you know, and you know how you acted every single time we had to watch like we wanted to watch a horror flick.
Don't
You
be
were.
dramatic.
Mom? Am I being dramatic? Wasn't it every single time?
She didn't watch them.
Freddy Krueger had it was like Freddy Krueger 8 by this time. You should be used to Freddy Krueger by now. No. Couldn't watch Kutcher. So what made you think you could watch witches?
Because I saw it earlier.
I think that really should have been enough. That should have been enough. It really should have. I mean, you know, because first of all, them women was ugly. When they started taking off the the wigs and the hair and the hat, they started looking like
It was a bit much.
sea monsters or something. They were horrifying. They was ugly. It wasn't really scary to me, but it was just the fact what scared me was they were so ugly.
And then you're sitting there telling mommy a witch melted on your pillow and shoving the pillow in daddy's face.
Well, it was Eddie.
Hmm?
I don't know if they believe me or not, but they took the pillow.
Mom, did you
We
believe
had to take the pillow.
her?
We had to take the pillow because that witch would have come back. We had to take the pillow because you'd have been hollering for us again. Come back in this room. We had to
Oh
take
my
it.
gosh.
In case she was on that pillow, we wanted to get her out that room.
Last question.
Mom, did you believe that there was a witch melted on her pillow?
I don't believe no real witch was on the pillow, but that doesn't mean that your imagination can't run away with you. You know,
Guys, you weren't there. You didn't see it, so it's okay.
We were there. We were.
You not on the top bunk bed looking at the pillow like I was.
Oh my gosh.
My eyes were open. To this day, my eyes were open.
You could see things with your eyes open.
Daddy said that my eyes were closed. Even though Daddy says my eyes were closed and he was shaking me, trying to wake me up.
Now, I believe that.
Yeah.
Now, Mom,
but you can see stuff like that. Your imagination can be so vivid that you can see stuff like that with your eyes open. And that's why we say things like hallucination, the imagination, because this is the reality of what's going on,
True.
Last question, because I'm done with this rapid questions. Which one of us won most likely to win a debate/argument in high school?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm actually going to say no. Jackie got a plaque. She got a trophy or a plaque or something. Did she just and I remember saying, "Yep, that's pretty much like her." She gonna argue you down. Yeah, that's her. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't even surprised. I'm like, you asked me that the plaque or the trophy could have been a little bit larger because that girl be at it all night with you. But that was definitely Jackie. Because she got a plaque for or trophy or something. Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a plaque.
Mm-hmm. Well, which one of us is more like you?
Wow, Jackie is more outwardly like me. She is more outwardly like me, but there's a lot of ways that you have about me that you do that you don't really know that I do.
Like what? Like what's an example?
Well, first of all, we all know, and that was a shocker to me because I wasn't doing this when I had kids, but all my life I've always worn shorts under my dresses. But I always wore short pants under my dresses because in Philly, you didn't know when you was going to have to fight. I didn't have to know when we was going to be flipping. We didn't know when we was going to be turning. And I was like really a tomboy. So I learned to wear short pants under my dresses so I didn't have to be embarrassed. And when Nicky got hit by that car, I had them shorts on. I said, well, Lord Jesus, have mercy. This child, that's what I used to do. Or there are some other things that I've noticed, but that's kind of escaping like my mind. But it's like subtle things that are that Nicky does, or she might have. For one thing, and then one thing too, she can become quite defensive in a moment, and in a way, so can I. I can say something. I can become, and I have to kind of catch myself, because I can get defensive right away about something, and so I have to, because it's the way I'm hearing it. And so so I've learned to. I was way worse when I was younger, but some things now I'm just like, that ain't even worth it. So what I learned to do was, I just kind of like, when you pick your battles, like that. And then, it's probably some other things. Now, Jackie is more like me when it comes to just like stuff that's not normal.
Not. Just the
Wow.
stuff that's all
Like,
it is.
I will be talking and bust out and start singing.
What?
I
She
could
said she
be
was
talking and I'll bust out, start singing.
And
Yeah.
that is
Or
you,
I could
Jackie.
I could watch a movie. And the crazy thing about it is, if Jackie sees the same movie, the same thing that fascinates me fascinates her. When we used to watch, what was it, The Frog Prince? Boy, that golden ball stayed on my mind.
And mind you, Mom, you were an adult when we saw Frog
Yeah, but I
Prince.
couldn't help it. Look, I was an adult when they said that the teacher wanted to know if I wanted to go to Storybook Land, and
Oh
you
my
you were in that. It was it wasn't Latchkey. It was like
Magic Years.
no, it was Magic Years. Yeah,
Magic
and you was
Daycare.
in there. She come asking me, did I want to be a chaperone? And remember I told you, I said, oh God, I want to go. But I went and I was like, out there, I'm not chaperoning them kids. I got my own shit. And I had you, it was gone.
terrible.
But see, that's the kind of stuff.
But I feel like that was something I would do.
Yeah, and
I was like, but when we watched it, I was like, Mom, you know what? I want me one of them gold balls. And Mommy said, oh my God, me too.
And then we watched that Dante's Peak. And I wanted to go running through them ashes. And I didn't.
I just want to swipe through the ashes. And Mommy said, me too.
And I'm over here
God,
like,
I really wanted to go through the ashes. Like, so it's just like a lot of it's like a lot of quirky stuff that I do, that Jackie will come like right behind. No foreknowledge, no let's do this or let's do that. It's just like, I can't believe that you're thinking like that, or you're saying that. Mommy just said that, so that's Nicky. She's always talking about us.
Yeah.
And the quirky stuff we want to do, we will watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They want to jump into chocolates.
I don't know. And me and Daddy be over there like, ain't no way in the world.
I wanted to take that mushroom and get some of that cream off of that.
What?
I really want to go through the whole
off
thing.
of the dot in the mushroom. I said, oh, that's so cool. Or when they broke off that gummy, she bit that gummy bear's ears. That's the stuff I be wanting to do. I think Nicky acts more like Daddy.
Yeah. Conservative on the side of,
like, she's quiet, and then when you know her, she's like Daddy. Everybody always asks, your dad is so quiet, and it's amazing to me, people that don't know him, because I'm like,
Mom,
and when you don't know him, he really is quiet. When you know him, you're like, these people are insane, and no one has this, because you know him. I'm the last few days, I'm telling y'all, I was in this house hysterical at the stuff he was saying to me. I couldn't even get mad. I was laughing so hard I couldn't even get mad. He is not quiet unless you don't know him. So he's not the type of person that like me and Jackie will be. We'll go into the room and we just start right away. This the life of the party right away. We just start right in. They're the type of people who come in, sit down, they'll be quiet and, and talk and stuff like that. But then once you get to know them, now your father, in reality, when I was dating your father, my father used to think that your father didn't like him because your father was so quiet. And then you've heard from his family yourself how he never said anything. And one day I think all the family was together and he wanted to say something. And it was like, everybody be quiet. Frank speaking, because he didn't talk. He was a devil, but he was quiet. He was always quiet. He was sneaky, but he was quiet, And so I'm telling you, he was so quiet. Even when we were dating, he never talked much. Even when we got married, he never talked much. And to a degree, in his defense, there is still a certain level of silence about him. There's still a certain level of
because he be asleep.
But even if he woke, there's still a certain level of silence about him.
See how that was cold? That's something he would say. That's why I think they like that was cold, man. And that's what his mommy said. It's still a silence about him. You gonna say, yeah, because sleep. That's what he would say about you. Like that.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah. Oh no, they do. They have ways. They have ways.
I think I act more like mommy and you act more like daddy.
I agree. I think people look at me and go, "Oh, you look just like your mom," and all our lives, but Jackie is my mom. Jackie is my mom.
Yeah. As I've gotten older, I'm starting to look a little bit like mommy. Mm-hmm. But when we were younger, wow.
Question is,
the way I was considered a friend. Oh, this your daughter's friend. I'm like, wow.
I'm like, mm-hmm.
But if you saw my grandma,
the Mason,
because I look just like Grandma Mason.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do the best advice we've ever received from you, Mom.
Okay,
I will go first. You have taught us, me personally, many things in life. Always talking, always having conversations. I felt like I had more conversations than Jackie, like, being the oldest. But I feel like, as the older child, there's a special bond that we have. It's just something about the older children. It's not like, it's not a bond with the second one, but the older one, it's a bond.
Well, you were a little more rebellious, so.
Absolutely not. You need to stop that line. So we're not even going to go there. But anyway, the best advice that you have ever given me or have ever taught me was to have a relationship with God and have my own relationship with God and not to depend on you or granddaddy or daddy or anybody else, but to make sure, and you taught from a child, like we were literally kids sitting at the table with you, reading our Bibles, learning about God, learning why we need to have a relationship with him. And for me, that has shaped my entire life. Like even being able to go to college and learn things that went against what I was taught and still be able to stand strong in my faith and my relationship with God and hold on to that. And I hold on to that to this day. I'm not perfect by any means, but I lean on. Oh, wait. I lean on.
I was itching. I'm sorry.
Not you, Mom. I was talking to Jackie. But I lean on that, and I can look at myself and say that I truly get my strength and my trust in God from you, from watching you, go through things and experience things in life, and you not turn your back on God, or you not, you have been consistent in our lives of who you are. From the time I can even remember up until now, that has not changed about you. And to me, having that relationship and putting my trust in God has been the best thing. It even helped me change my perspective in things as I went through life and experiencing life. And even with the one job, which I'm not allowed to mention, but it's not my current one. When they were, I was like physically sick, and the job was making me physically sick, and you were like, look, either you're going to trust God or you not. And mind you, I wasn't living at home. I was living with my sister. I had bills I had to pay, but I had to make a decision, because if I didn't make a decision, you was coming up there, which wasn't necessary, but that's a mother. But in that, me learning to, continuing to have my relationship with God and continue to trust him, I can look back over my life and I can see where I am now, and all of the things that you said to me and all of the things that you taught me. I can look back at all of those things, and I can't say I always agreed at the time that we talked about them. I can't say it wasn't like I always listened. I always listened.
Very
And then
true.
in my own, and then eventually I would come into the true, now the true, like, all right, she's kind of, I gotta believe you. It would show itself, right? The experience I was going through, it would always show every talk that we had. So the best advice or best thing you ever done for me is introduce me to God and me have my own relationship with him.
Yeah,
Always listened.
yeah, and I could see that. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do that was because in this world, none of us, everybody knows when the sun rises. No one knows when it sets. So you don't know when you're going to be without, God forbid it's 200 years from now, but
Yes,
you'll be without, your parents. And not only that, you can have parents in this world, but there are things that only God can do that a parent may desire to do but can't. And sometimes that's physically, mentally, or spiritually. There are things that knowing God, that only he could do, tangible and intangible, that there is not a person alive can do. So it was very important that for your own self, that you chose him, because you always had, you all both always had free will. We have free will. So it was important to teach you about him, so that you could learn to lean on him and then thereby gain your strength in him. So at times when you really needed him to come through, to be there, to comfort, to help, to provide, or whatever it's stuff, it would bring a confidence in you that he would not fail,
My favorite, not my favorite, the best advice that I ever received from my mother was, I remember being very young. I want to say I was maybe 7 years old. Maybe I was like 10. So just in between that range. And the advice that she told us sitting at the table one day was, don't do what I did. You need to understand that all you have is your name. And by that, she was saying, don't just go making any old financial decisions without thinking about the consequences of your decisions. If you want to get somewhere in life, if you want to do something, you have to understand the value of your name. And once you ruin your name, that's it. So whatever you do, take care of your name. And that's what she told me. And so I never did credit cards. I never got into like crazy stuff. I always wanted to be successful, have a career, and have my money, and when I did my job, I always took pride in what I was doing, because I always thought all you have is your name. Don't mess up your name. And to this day, my name's not messed up.
Wow.
This is what I hear for you. If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention.
Mommy didn't tell us.
I know.
Mom, do you know where that's from?
Yeah, Sister Act.
Oh, I was about to say, because we only watched it 4,000 times.
Okay.
She had to know what it was. That was the best advice that my mother has given me, and that I use. I'm 38 years old. I don't look a day over 27, but I'm 38 years old, and I understand that advice, and I actually understand it more now than I did then. But that was something for y'all, wasn't it?
It was, and we said, next.
And it has God first, but having that knowledge and that understanding and using it in my decision making has brought me to where I am today.
Absolutely.
And be clear as well as to where I'm going.
Absolutely.
That part. Something else you
What was your
chewing on?
question?
Wow. Yeah, for both of them, to keep God first and your name. I think the two of them go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. And when you can exercise that, whatever path that you go down or you take, exercising that absolutely makes you a winner.
Mom, do you remember when we were on the bus going to New York and you told me that you didn't like me as a child?
Did I tell you that?
And then tell the people what happened.
What happened? Is this
You told
confession?
me the whole story. You told me the whole story. You said like it's God. You went to God about me.
Now I remember. I'm not clear on the New York, and I'm not saying I didn't because I probably did.
We were on our way to New York on the bus, and because we had to go return the first pair of Louboutins that you bought me. We had to go return them. Remember?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember that.
You didn't know the size up, so we had to go back, get them a size up, and that's where we were on our way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also the day we had that taxi cab incident.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
But on the bus, you were telling me how you didn't like me. You had to pray about me.
You got to stop saying that.
No, but you know what though? Jackie, because when you were growing up, for me, it was like this child is a terror. She is like a terror, and it's like you keep beating her, but it's not working. You keep like she stays into mischief. I go over to pick you up from Latchkey one night, and then they tell me that you was wiping off the teacher's desk, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so nice and stuff. And they say, yeah, because she just got finished walking across it. And then all of a sudden I see stars. They bring me in one time and they tell me that you're in school hitting the teachers, kicking and fighting and stuff and all of this, and sit me down and tell me that I'm really the blame for it because I hit you, because I will beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted me to get help, and they passed out cards, and and I told them, I said, okay, anything else she does from now on, I don't want to hear anything about it. Nothing. And then I remember getting you outside, and it was like, I'm literally, so I'm like, oh my God. And I kept saying, I couldn't have been this, well, we were using the term back then. I couldn't have been this bad. I couldn't have been this mischievous. I just couldn't have. And I remember I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. This child is really, and it was like, why can't she be more like Nicky? Nicky's so quiet. I don't remember Nicky growing up. She just was here, and then all of a sudden she was just a little girl. And then I get Jackie, and I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God. I need some kind of calm me down pills. This child. But I remember the Lord one day speaking to me specifically concerning you, and literally was kind of telling me not to not raise you, but to look at you different and to back up off of you. Because one of the things that he said that child is full of life. He said that's all that's going on in her is life. And he reminded me, I need you to let her live. Just let her live. What's going on in her? I'm not telling you that there aren't days that you don't pull her in or whatever. He said, but I want you to see her different. I want you to see her perspective and how she really is, because it's not that she's bad like what we know bad today is. Good God Almighty. She is full. God says what's in her is life. And from that day on, I literally started looking at you as God saw you. And all I could see eventually, all of a sudden, okay, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. But then all of a sudden I could see the forest, even though the trees were there. I really started seeing what God was saying. And the more attention I paid to you, even though I had to pull you in at times, I literally saw a child growing up that was so full of life that you wouldn't be able to take it away from them. And today, that life has worked so well for you in your life and even with people. The Lord even began to show, because even the people that wanted to be around you, the Lord was kind of like, these people are drawn to the life in her. And eventually we all started really feeling like that. We started gravitating toward who you were, that burst of sunshine, that laughing, that, it was easy to be around you. That don't mean you didn't make us mad sometimes. That don't mean that I didn't still want to joke sometimes. But I recognize
What he
that
said.
life. And that life that God said was in you has really been an extraordinary part of your life that has given you thus far and taken you further on an extraordinary journey.
Thank you, Lord. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I am life. Now, last question for our Mother's Day special episode. Mom, what has been your favorite thing about being a mother and watching your children grow up?
Just literally, truthfully, watching y'all come into adulthood, watching y'all achieve, being able to be there, to just, always being a mom first, but watching y'all literally take the advice that I give you, watching y'all depend on the God that I've shown you or talked to you about, and that's both of y'all, in so many incidents in life that we've come together, and it's been like, Mom, pray, this is going on, Mom, pray. It's always been that you've always come back to God for him to handle your situations. And it's being able to have that. It's watching y'all grow into two people that even in my ministry, that I could depend on you as right arm, left arm, to actually be there, and to have children that are what really, I feel like, you all, or the both of you, let me put it that way. I feel like the two of you, really honor me as a mother. You honor the wisdom that the Lord has allowed me to spew out. You honor the moves that I've made, the things that I've done, or how I have pushed you all. You're not afraid to talk to me. I love the fact that the two of you, are not afraid to talk to me. You're not afraid to, even if you say, I disagree, or I'm thinking along different, or you might say, well, just pray for me then, but I love the interaction. I love the fact that we go out, that we do stuff, that we laugh, we go spend the night somewhere, we'll go out shopping, we'll do stuff. I like our conversations, our serious ones, our crazy ones. I like how we come together and we're still a very strong knit family. I just love that, because it's such a rarity. It's not a rarity, but my thing is, I don't know everybody. And from so many people that I know, it's not something that I see often, but the relationship that we have just really brings me a lot of joy, because it's just, I feel like the role that I've played in your life, that you all have come back with an honor of that role, just by being there for me, just by helping me all the time, being by my side. It's so much that y'all have done, or so much that you do say, or there's so much appreciation that the both of you have, where it's Mother's Day, so I'll say me, and you're not your father, but that you have for me as a mother. And it's a lot of mothers in reality that don't get to experience the love of their children on that level. And and what I really like is that, yeah, you do understand that, I'm going to always be the mother first, but there's such a level of friendship and respect and, whatnot there, that don't mean we don't have our moments or our days, but just watching you grow into the women that you have, what you have achieved, where you are going, what you have set your mind to do, and just watching you grow into your own individual. You're not people pleasers. You're not trying to follow people. You're not trying to be a statistic. You're not trying to do what everybody else, did. You're not trying to go along to get along. It's so refreshing just to see you have this individuality about yourselves that's really taking you somewhere. It's just like really great to see. I love the fact you have your own mind. I like that. You're leaders and influencer and not followers and easily influenced. So that's wonderful because it has kept you out of some dangerous, hard, and crazy situations. And then some of the crazy situations you have been in would have been so much worse had you wanted to be so bad a statistic of doing what everybody else did. You have your own mind. And even if you get stuck, you make sure that at some point in your life, you're going to get unstuck. I'm not staying here, even if I have to call out the Calvary for prayer. But to see that you have your own mind and that mind is working for you, that you have vision, you have dreams, you have goals. It's amazing to sit back and to watch it. And just, even when you hear people that, talk about y'all or compliment y'all, and everybody hasn't always said, great things, and y'all know that because y'all know the people. But, for the most part, to have people sit back and compliment your children on the way they are, the way they behave, the way they've grown up, and who they are today. You have become examples, even to people that you may not even know it. That's almost like really, that's a mother's dream, is to see their children grow up and make it. And that's just in life with everything about them. Their attitude, their disposition, what they push for, and what they believe. The sky is the limit, especially if God is in control. You too have taken control and a handle on your life, and you're moving forward. I look sometimes at the success of your life, and I know you have your challenges, but I'd be like, oh my God, if I had that at that age, who you want me to tell me nothing? But I love that about y'all. I love it. But I love more than anything that y'all are influencers and individuals, and you're not influenced, and you're not part of the statistics. You're not part of the followers. I'm just going to do what everybody else is doing because that's what everybody's doing. You're not the fad people like. I love that.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you, Mother. This is true.
Well said.
Live and learn lifestyle. Follow us on Instagram. That concludes our Mother's Day episode. Thank you to our lovely mother who was our special guest today.
I just want to say thank you, Mom. And that should the Lord bless us to be mothers one day, I pray that we can be half the mother that you are and you have been to us.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Okay, now.
Okay. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on Instagram. We'll insert our Instagram handles. I'm Living, Learning Lifestyle on Instagram and TikTok.
And I'm Nicky D81 on Instagram.
And Mom is starting her new podcast.
Woo woo.
Pockets of Pearls.
No.
What's the podcast?
Join Pastor Sharon with Precious Pearls.
What was it?
Precious Pearls.
Precious Pearls is the name of the podcast?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. She is starting her podcast, Precious Pearls, where she is dropping gems, knowledge, giving you the word of God and how to utilize that for your everyday life. You can listen to her starting on, by the time this airs, those will have already started.
Yes.
So you can catch Precious Pearls on
Spotify or Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube under Pastor Sharon Lester.
So follow Precious Pearls. Is that it's not Pockets of Pearls?
No.
Okay, I thought we talked about this. Follow Precious Pearls, but follow Sharon Lester on Facebook, and you will get all of the updates that you need. And for this YouTube channel, Relax, Relate to Breathe, if you have enjoyed this episode or any of the episodes that we have been bringing you, be sure that you are subscribe. After you subscribe, share it with your friends and family. We want to see this thing go up, up, up. And so we thank you for all of your support. Until next time.
Happy Mother's Day. Bye.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.